Hello party people, welcome to another Blender tutorial. If you follow me on Twitter or Google Plus possibly, I put up a render yesterday that was very inspiring to me. One of the people in the gallery of CG Cookie was making a game, and he had this asset that he made, and it was a windmill. So I was so inspired by how it looked, and it had nice paintings and everything like that. I think I'll try to link to it in the description, but it was very inspiring. So I was like, you know what, I can make a windmill, so let's go ahead and do that. Now, whenever I got through doing it, I was like, there's a lot you could do with it. So I think while my original render is fine, I think I'm going to stylize it just a little bit more to make it a little more interesting, and maybe change where exactly the camera is facing and stuff like that, because I thought it was a little bit dull. But alright, so we open up oh, right, and other things, right? If you have Blender, obviously, you also want to get the GIMP, the gimp.org. It's like free Photoshop, and we're going to be using that a little bit too. Again, this is going to be probably more a little on the creative side, so you do what you think you should do versus following along, but I'll try to explain stuff. And again, you can always watch exactly what I do and just do that too. So, alright, so we're going to start with the default scene, and we're going to get rid of everything, and then we're going to add in a cylinder. So we're just going to make just a generic windmill at this point. So we'll drop down the vertices because we don't need that many. So 5, 1, hit the numpad. Hey, screencast case would be super important. Yes, and then we'll make the text nice and big. Okay, so all I did, add the cube, Shift A, add cube, mesh, add cube, and then I just put it in there, turn down the vertices. Alright, so go into edit mode and grab on the Z-axis and move it 1 so it's centered there, and then we will make the top of it. So right, extrude, scale in, scale up. Actually, we won't do it that way. We'll scale out first, and then scale up. Because again, we're making we gotta have that little lip there because the turbine hops out of there. And whoops, so that's no good. Thank goodness I did that. Whenever you create a cylinder, you have this option here. It defaults to n-gon. We want it to be nothing. I don't know why they decided to put an n-gon in there, but whatever, it's fine. So Z to go in there, and then we'll be able to do this. See, much better. All right, so go up, down. Want to do this? There we go. Now we're on track. All right, so then we can scale that in a little bit. And we'll make another little terrace part of that, or a gable, if you really want to go into that, is what we're going to be using this little piece for. But alright, so we scale that in, and then extrude one more time, scale it in, zoom in, and then up, and then Alt M at the cursor or whatever, or at center. Alright, so that's really as difficult as that is, right? Kind of looks like a doesn't really look like a whole lot, but we'll get there. Alright, so then we can do Control 2, subdivide that, and now it sort of looks like a wiener, but we can just loop cut and make that look a little bit better. And I think I'll do one there too. Alright, so we have that, and then I think I want to clean this up just a little bit too. Put that down, scale that in. So that's a little bit better. Again, just kind of going for the general shape of a thing on top. Alright, so that's, I guess, pretty good there. I smooth that out, and okay, so a windmill has windows and stuff like that, and it also has like a thing popping out of the top. So we'll make the thing popping out of the top. We'll add a new loop cut here, and then we'll add a new loop cut there, and then we'll go into front view and take these two pieces and just extrude them out on the y-axis there. I think it's Y0, yep, and then we have our little thing that's popping out of there, so we'll probably move that up just a little bit and extrude and scale that in, and then just extrude and put it like that. We'll eventually have our windmill thing right there, but for now we'll just leave it like that. Alright, so again, I'm not going for photorealism here, I'm going for a more stylized version, but I think it'll be fairly close. I mean, obviously I don't really know the anatomy of what a windmill should look like, but that's not really important right now. All right, so we're going to add a couple of loop cuts down here because we're going to need those for whenever we make the windows, which we're going to do. All right, so if we select one of these faces, we're going to make this a window. So Shift D to duplicate and separate by selection. Okay, then we have our little guy there, right? And we can sort of see that he's a little bit rounded. So we're going to pull him out, and then we're going to extrude him out. And then we're going to extrude him in a little bit, and then we're going to extrude him back down. So then we will have, if you add some loop cuts in here, a nice rounded window. Right, okay, so then we want to connect this window, right, to this piece, because we're no longer, since we've added more geometry to it, we need to reconnect it back in there. And we'll add some geometry in there too. The easiest way to go about doing that, I think, is to use a shrink wrap modifier. So if we select all of the outer edges here, yes, all right, and we make a vertex group out of them. So in your, what is this? Your object data, add a vertex group, and we'll just call it the edge. You could probably just leave it as group, and you assign it. It will then say, okay, that is now my edge group for that. So we can leave that alone, and then we can add a modifier for this guy, the window there, add a modifier, a shrink wrap modifier, and it will say the target, we want the cylinder, and oh no, we have all that stuff, it's all connected. But if we just select the edge vertex group, you can see that now we are connected to our beautiful window right against there. So just a real quick, sort of easy, dirty way to go about doing that. But you can, yeah, okay, so that's that, and then you can basically duplicate and move them wherever you want. So we'll do that. Also, we'll set the 3D cursor to, so Shift S, cursor to selected, selection to cursor, cursor to selected, and then since we, period, right, period, huge, we rotate around the 3D cursor, and that is important because whenever we select all these and duplicate them, and we rotate on the Z-axis, right, we're still hovering around the origin point of this item here, because we never changed the origin whenever we duplicated that plane. So it becomes much easier to move all of these around and stay without really having to do a whole lot in terms of adding them back in there. So I think that rotate Z. There we go. And I think that's okay. Now I'll just select a couple random ones. That'll be good. Control L, select them all, and then I'll just move them down so they're not as symmetrical. And then if we want to, since again we're making this stylized, you hit R and RXX. Go back into normal mode there, the comma. So we're back in the bounding box, and RXX. RYY. Apparently that's just not gonna work for us there. But you could, and I think I will, make these a little bit more cartoony. So again, just sort of just rotating them around however randomly I want to do that. And again, because they're shrink wrapped, we don't really have to worry too bad about the geometry that we're messing up, because the shrink wrap modifier handles a lot of that stuff. So it'll always look connected, so we don't really, all you really need to do is rotate them versus rotate and then realign them. Just make sure they're not sticking in there, and it'll be good enough. All right, so that's our crazy looking, and we still got two more to do here. Control L, and rotate that, and we'll rotate that back in there. There we go. And our last one. Actually, should be able to rotate on the Z-axis. Maybe if we do median point. Close enough. But by double tapping R, Z, or X, it will rotate on the local axis. Honestly, I probably should have done normal. That would have solved that problem. Nope, guess not. Yep, that totally would have. Damn. All right, so hindsight 2020. If you change your transformation to normal and hit RZZ, you'll be able to rotate easily without having to realign them. Yeah, whoopsie. I knew. I did that before in the previous thing I wanted. I just forgot. So yeah, whenever you're editing those, just click normal and then select the median point, and you'll be good there. All right, so we'll go back to global. And then, okay, so we have our things, we have that, we have that. All right, so now what we want to do, I think, is make our windmill, right? So we have our windows or whatever for our little cartoony guy. And I will say that I probably want to pop this out just a little bit. We'll get that guy. We'll get that guy. Actually, no, what we're going to do, instead of doing it that way, is we're going to do Control J, which merges all that stuff together. Then we're going to select these two inner ones and hit O, turns on proportional editing, and scale that out. So then that looks much more cartoony, right? You could use a modifier for that, but who really cares? We're not really going to change anything else in here. We'll grab these since those aren't 100% on there. Turn off proportional editing, by the way. Just gonna get that guy out of there a little bit. Or am I? Got the wrong ones. There we go. There we go. Alright, that's better. Again, we're going cartoony, so we don't need to worry about it. Alright, so we'll save this. I'll save this as windmill 2 and mill 2, whatever. And go to this other layer. Alright, now we have our windmill, so we need to create we need to create the things that go around it. So again, it's going to be a cylinder. Remember to turn off the n-gon thing. Nothing good. Alright, and Shift Z will scale it there. And then we will rotate it on the x-axis 90 degrees. And then we're going to move it down. Alright, just so we're sort of there. Alright, now we're going to add in some edge loops here, just kind of wherever. We're just adding some geometry to make it a little more interesting looking. But yes, so then take your face select and then extrude, and then S Shift Y will make it fatter. You can also do, I believe, Alt S will also do that. Oh, did I do that? Yes. So let's try that. Alt S. Now that just makes it fatter on that. So E, Alt S. Yeah, E and Alt S, or E, S, Shift Y. Both do the same thing. Alright, so that's at least the beginning of the windmill. So then we can take these, and duplicate them, and then P, separate by selection, because we're going to do some other crazy stuff with these. So rotate them on the Z-axis 90 degrees, and move it up. Then scale it on the X-axis a little bit. And that's pretty much all we need to do. So add in an array modifier, whatever. 0, 1, nope, 1, nope, -1, -6, there we go, 0, because we're going to space these out, and then we can add a couple of them, make them, yeah, that's probably enough, 8, and then want to duplicate this guy again, and separate him by his selection again, and select just him, get rid of the modifier, select everything by hitting A twice, rotate on the Z-axis, rotate on the Z-axis 90 degrees, and move him over, and move him up, so he's sort of in line with that, right? Okay, and then we can duplicate him, and we can duplicate him, and then we will select all the top faces, top vertices there, top vertices, whoa, there we go, and then move them up. Okay, so to just about there. All right, so whoop, nope, still going. All right, so that's the length of that, and that's the length of that. All right, now we just need to go get those back again. Let me do that. All right. Don't you love it when you mess stuff up? At least we can fix it. 3. Okay, so Z, B, then S, Y, 0, then move it over. All right, much better. All right, so we're in. We don't want to go that far. All right, so we're in there, and now all we need to do is just line these back up. So let's move this guy over a little bit so it's touching in there, and and then this guy with the same thing. Control L. And okay, so we have our basic structure there, and then what we can do is line this part up so that we are connecting them. So move that guy over, and then extrude, E, and then Alt S. Nope, kind of missed it there a little bit. Move that guy over, there we go. E, whoa. Whoops. Get rid of that guy, there we go. So, E, Alt S. Okay. See, there we go. Extrude, Shift X. Alright, that'll significantly better. So then, same thing here, just sort of line them up so they're close like that. Select the face, E, Shift X, or S, Shift X. Alright, and then the last one here. Move that over again. Alright, and E, S, Shift X, we're there. Alright, so we have our little, and you can see that, since we're using an array modifier, it all works the same way. Alright, so that's what we're going to use for our tines, or our actual mills. So we want to apply that, and we're okay there. So select all those and Control J. Now we're all together again. This guy we got to move, because that's not right. That ain't it. And we'll probably move him over a little bit too. Alright, so good there. Now we want to move this guy, all of him, all the way up here. So we'll put him on the y-axis and stick him sort of right there. We want the origin point and the cursor to all be in that location. So yeah, it's just important that you do that. So we want to rotate on the, we hit the period again because we're going to rotate on the 3D cursor. We want to go into our toolbar and spin it. Alright, this happens constantly, okay? So what happened here? Holy balls, it looks horrible, right? This is because I have edited the proportions of the actual object, okay? So apparently we lost some because I didn't make it long enough, but that's okay. We'll just get rid of these. Alright, that's fine. I did not make it long enough. You can see the scale is all super off right there, and that's why that spin doesn't work. So in order to fix that, you just Control A, apply the rotation, location, and scale, and then see everything has been zeroed out and it's all much better looking than what it was. So if we go into edit mode and spin again, you can see that now it's nice and beautiful and it's in an arc. So yeah, that's how you end up fixing that. If you've never used the spin tool before, it's really useful. So we're going to do 3 of them, right, because we have one already, and we're going to make them go 270 degrees, because that would be 90 degrees less than what we have, since 4 is a nice easy number to remember. Okay, so we have just created our little guy there. Alright, so let's size it up in comparison to this guy. It's enormous, but that's okay. So we'll go up here, and we'll go over, and we'll try to get it sort of where we want it to be, and scale it down. Yep, we're on the 3D cursor, so hit comma, and that'll scale it the way we want it, and I'm thinking that's pretty good, and we'll rotate on the y-axis, so it looks like it's going somewhere. Alright, so let's save that, so because we made that thing. Alright, so we have our wonderful little guy, we got our tine, or our, I don't know why I keep calling those tines. Spokes would be more of a term there, but the windmill part of the windmill, whatever. And then so we're pretty good there. Alright, so now we're going to work